What if everything you thought you knew about reality was completely backwards? What if the life you're living right now isn't something happening to you, but something happening because of you? There's a quantum secret that bridges the gap between ancient wisdom and cutting-edge physics. And once you understand it, you'll never see your circumstances the same way again. Scientists have discovered something that sounds impossible. Your consciousness doesn't just experience reality, it actively creates it. And I'm not talking about positive thinking or visualization tricks. I'm talking about a fundamental law of the universe that most people never learn to use deliberately. This is the observer effect, and mastering it will give you the power to change your reality starting right now. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will shatter every limitation you've ever accepted about what's possible in your life. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to harness this quantum phenomenon to shift your timeline, attract what you desire, and become the conscious creator of your own experience. Let's start with something that will blow your mind. Right now, as you're watching this video, you're not just observing your life. You're actively collapsing it into existence from an infinite field of possibilities. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every moment of attention you give is literally selecting which version of reality becomes real for you. Most people live their entire lives believing they're victims of circumstance. They think reality is fixed, solid, unchangeable. They wake up expecting more of the same because they don't realize they're the ones choosing it. But quantum physics has proven something remarkable. At the most fundamental level of existence, nothing is solid. Everything exists as pure potential until consciousness interacts with it. Think about this for a moment. The device you're using to watch this video, the chair you're sitting in, even your own body, they're all made of atoms that are mostly empty space, vibrating with energy and possibility. What makes them appear solid and real is your observation of them. Your consciousness is the bridge between the quantum field of infinite potential and the physical reality you experience. This isn't mystical philosophy. This is measurable science. When physicists study subatomic particles, they've discovered that these particles don't have fixed locations or properties until they're observed. Before observation, they exist in what's called superposition, meaning all possible states exist simultaneously. But the moment a conscious observer looks, that superposition collapses into one specific outcome. Now here's where it gets interesting for your life. Your future exists in the same state of superposition right now. Every possible version of your life, every dream you've ever had, every fear you've ever worried about, they all exist as potential in the quantum field. The question is, which one will you observe into reality? Most people are unconscious observers. They wake up and immediately focus on their problems, their limitations, their past experiences. They scroll through social media and observe what they don't have. They look in the mirror and see what they don't like. They check their bank account and feel scarcity. And the quantum field responds by collapsing more of the same into their reality. But what if you could observe differently? What if instead of defaulting to lack, limitation, and fear, you could consciously choose to observe abundance, possibility, and success? What if you could train your attention to focus on the version of reality you actually want to experience? This is exactly what the most successful people throughout history have done, often without realizing it. They've learned to observe from the end result. They see themselves as already successful before the external evidence appears. They feel abundant before the money shows up. They embody confidence before they have reasons to be confident. Einstein himself said that imagination is more important than knowledge. He understood that consciousness creates reality, not the other way around. When you imagine your desired future with enough clarity and emotional intensity, you're not just daydreaming. You're giving the quantum field specific instructions about which possibility to collapse into your timeline. But here's what most people get wrong. They try to observe their desired reality from their current state of lack. They visualize having money while feeling poor, They imagine being loved while feeling rejected. They picture being healthy while identifying as sick. This creates what quantum physicists call decoherence. Your observation becomes mixed and unclear, and the field responds with mixed results. The secret is learning to observe from the frequency of what you desire, not from the frequency of what you currently experience. You have to feel successful to attract success. You have to embody love to attract love. You have to vibrate with abundance to collapse abundance into your reality. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine two people applying for their dream job. Person A visualizes getting the job, but feels anxious about the competition, worried about rejection, focused on their lack of qualifications. Person B visualizes getting the job and feels the excitement of already having it, the gratitude for the opportunity, the confidence of being the perfect fit. Both people are observing their desired outcome, but they're observing from completely different frequencies. Person A is observing from lack, fear, and doubt. Person B is observing from abundance, joy, and certainty. Which reality do you think the quantum field will collapse for each person? This is why affirmations often don't work. People repeat positive words while feeling negative emotions. They say they're abundant while their body chemistry screams scarcity. The quantum field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your authentic vibration, your genuine feeling state, your true observation frequency. Now you might be thinking, but how do I feel successful when I'm not successful yet? How do I feel abundant when I'm struggling financially? How do I feel loved when I'm alone? This is where the real mastery begins. You have to understand that feeling comes before form, not after it. Every morning, you have a choice. You can wake up and immediately observe your current circumstances, which keeps you trapped in the same reality loop. Or you can wake up and consciously observe your desired reality, which begins the process of quantum collapse toward that new timeline. The ancient mystics understood this principle long before modern science proved it. They knew that consciousness is the fundamental force that shapes experience. Buddha taught that all suffering comes from attachment to current conditions, instead of recognizing the impermanent, malleable nature of reality. Modern neuroscience has now proven that your brain cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you observe your desired future with enough detail and emotion, your neural networks begin firing as if it's already happening. Your body starts producing the chemistry of success before success appears in your external world. Dr. Joe Dispenza has documented thousands of cases where people have literally rewired their brains and transformed their lives by learning to observe differently. Cancer patients who visualized perfect health and felt genuine gratitude for their healing before any medical evidence appeared. People who went from poverty to prosperity by observing abundance with such consistency that their entire nervous system shifted to match that frequency. This isn't magic. This is the mechanics of consciousness interacting with quantum reality. When you align your observation, your emotion, and your expectation with your desired outcome, you create what physicists call quantum entanglement with that possibility. You become magnetically connected to that timeline. But here's the crucial part most people miss. You can't just observe your desired reality for 5 minutes during meditation and then spend the rest of the day observing lack. You have to become a consistent observer of the reality you want to experience. Every moment is an opportunity to choose which frequency you're broadcasting to the field. When you're stuck in traffic, instead of observing frustration, you can observe yourself as someone who flows through life with ease. When you check your bank account, instead of observing scarcity, you can feel grateful for the abundance that's already flowing to you. When you look in the mirror, instead of seeing imperfections, you can observe the radiant, powerful being you truly are. This might feel fake at first. Your logical mind will resist. Your nervous system is programmed for survival, which means it's always looking for problems to solve. But remember, your current reality is just the result of past observations. If you want a different future, you have to start observing differently now. The most powerful time to practice conscious observation is in the gap between sleep and waking. In that drowsy state, your analytical mind is quiet and your subconscious is most receptive. This is when you can most easily slip into the feeling of your desired reality without resistance from your logical mind. Spend the first few minutes of each day not planning your schedule or thinking about your problems, but feeling into the life you want to create. See yourself living that life. Feel the emotions of having achieved your dreams. Let your body experience the chemistry of success, love, and abundance before you even get out of bed. This isn't just positive thinking. This is quantum programming. You're literally instructing the field about which possibility to collapse into your experience. The more consistent you become with this practice, the faster your external reality begins to shift to match your internal observation. But what about when things go wrong? What about when evidence contradicts your desired reality? This is the ultimate test of mastery. Instead of letting external circumstances pull you back into old observation patterns, you have to learn to observe beyond appearances. You have to trust that the quantum field is rearranging itself to match your consistent inner observation, even when you can't see evidence yet. Remember, there's always a lag time between inner observation and outer manifestation. Seeds don't become trees overnight, but if you keep watering the seed of your desired reality with consistent observation, it has no choice but to grow into your experience. Think of yourself as a quantum artist. The canvas is the field of infinite possibilities. Your brush is your consciousness. Every moment of attention is a brushstroke. Most people paint the same picture over and over because they keep dipping their brush in the same colors of past experience. But you can choose new colors anytime you want. The version of you that's struggling financially exists in the quantum field, but so does the version of you that's abundantly wealthy. The version of you that feels lonely exists, but so does the version of you that's deeply loved. The version of you that's stuck in patterns exists, but so does the version of you that's completely free. Which version will you choose to observe? Which frequency will you consistently broadcast? Which timeline will you collapse into your reality? Here's something profound to consider. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary started by observing a reality that didn't yet exist in their external world. Every invention, every breakthrough, every transformation began with someone willing to observe beyond current conditions. The Wright brothers observed human flight before airplanes existed. Steve Jobs observed personal computers before they were mainstream. Nelson Mandela observed freedom and equality before apartheid ended. They didn't wait for evidence to support their vision. They held their observations so consistently that reality eventually caught up to their inner knowing. You have that same power right now. You don't need permission to observe a better reality. You don't need evidence to feel successful. You don't need external validation to know your worth. You just need the courage to consistently observe from the frequency of what you desire instead of from the frequency of what you currently experience. But here's the ultimate secret that separates masters from beginners. Masters don't just observe their desired reality during designated practice times. They learn to observe from their desired frequency all day long. They don't compartmentalize their consciousness. They become living embodiments of their vision. When masters face challenges, they don't observe problems. They observe solutions. When they encounter setbacks, they don't see failure. They see feedback and course correction. When they experience delays, they don't feel frustrated. They trust in perfect timing and continue observing their desired outcome. This level of mastery requires what I call quantum faith. Not blind faith, but educated faith based on understanding how consciousness creates reality. You start to trust the process because you understand the physics. You don't need to see immediate results because you know the field is responding to your consistent observation frequency. The beautiful thing about the observer effect is that it works whether you believe in it or not. It's not a philosophy or a religion. It's a fundamental principle of how consciousness interacts with reality. You're already using it every moment of every day. The only question is whether you're using it consciously or unconsciously. Most people are unconscious observers, which is why they keep creating the same reality over and over. They observe from habit, from past conditioning, from social programming. But once you become aware of your power as an observer, everything changes. You realize you're not at the mercy of circumstances. You're the author of your experience. This is what it means to wake up. Not just to open your eyes in the morning, but to awaken to your true nature as a conscious creator, to realize that you're not separate from the universe observing it from the outside. You are the universe experiencing itself through the lens of your unique perspective. When you truly understand this, victim consciousness becomes impossible. You can't blame others for your reality when you know you're the one observing it into existence. You can't feel powerless when you recognize that your consciousness is the most creative force in your personal universe. This realization is both empowering and sobering. It means you're responsible for your reality, but it also means you have the power to change it. Every moment is a fresh opportunity to observe differently. Every breath is a chance to choose a new frequency. Every thought is a quantum event that influences your timeline. So right now, in this moment, what are you choosing to observe? Are you observing scarcity or abundance? Are you focused on problems or possibilities? Are you seeing yourself as limited or limitless? Whatever you're observing with consistency and emotional intensity is what the quantum field will continue to collapse into your reality. The observer effect isn't just a scientific principle. It's a blueprint for conscious creation. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the secret that ancient mystics whispered and that modern physics has finally proven. You are not a passive witness to your life. You are the active observer who shapes every moment through the quality of your attention. You are the consciousness that collapses infinite possibilities into singular experiences. You are the frequency that broadcasts instructions to the quantum field. And now you know the truth. Reality doesn't happen to you. Reality happens as you. The question is no longer whether you have the power to change your life. The question is whether you'll use that power consciously or unconsciously. Your future is not determined by your past. It's not limited by your current circumstances. It's not dependent on external conditions. Your future is being created right now through the frequency of your observation. Every moment you spend observing your desired reality brings that timeline closer to manifestation. The observer effect is active in your life this very second. You're reading these words, but you're also creating your tomorrow through the quality of consciousness you're bringing to this moment. You can choose to observe yourself as someone who is stuck, or you can observe yourself as someone who is awakening to their infinite potential. Which observer will you choose to be? Which reality will you collapse into existence? The quantum field is waiting for your instruction. Your consciousness is the command center. Your observation is the creative force. The time for unconscious creation is over. The time for deliberate observation has begun. You now have the knowledge. The question is whether you'll use it, whether you'll step into your power as the conscious observer of your reality. Your life is about to change in ways you never imagined possible. Because once you truly understand that you are the observer effect in action, there's no limit to what you can create. The quantum field is infinite, and so are you. The reality you desire already exists. You just have to observe it into being. And that transformation starts now.